Hey guys, Zanaki here with episode 7 of the Zanaku Masterclass. In this video, we're going to be talking about pressure. Now, this is probably one of my favorite things to talk about in this game because I think it kind of adds a very unique element that really needs to be considered. Pressure in this game is very specific because it allows you to, well, add extra things to your opponent for them to consider. And when you add extra things for your opponent to consider, it adds, no pun intended, adds more pressure. When you do that, it kind of makes the game more difficult. It adds stress, and more stress on your opponent means they'll make more mistakes, and more mistakes you make, well, the game's going to be easier for you. Now, the first thing I wanted to really show you is more about pressure in regards to aiming. I think this is probably one of the biggest things that I noticed when I was playing with Avik, or when I watched Avik play, and just the way that he would talk about the game. One thing that he really stood out for me when I was talking with him was the way that he described adding pressure to his opponent. He would always say every time when he would keep shooting at his opponent or just keep running at them, they just would miss. It'd be harder for his opponent to actually aim at him because of how much pressure he was adding. And so what that kind of look like is a couple of things. You can run directly your opponent. You can literally just run face first. Let's say if they were, over at Railgun, and just get really close, and then it'd be hard for them to kind of set up. Again, it's all about images in the mind. How are they anticipating what they think is going to happen and what is actually happening? And if you're constantly running at them, it's hard for them to adjust the way that they want to. When you shoot at your opponent, it actually does a couple of things. The first thing it does is that they have to forcefully dodge out of the damage you're doing. Let's say if I'm firing nailgun. They can't stand exactly where they are. They'll have to stand on either side of over here or towards railgun where they can't be there anymore. If I fire a rocket, it's also like a delayed timer. They can't stand within this position within that certain frame, otherwise they'll take damage and they'll get hit. The most important thing about pressure, though, is that it impedes or impacts your opponent's movement in the way that they're trying to fire at you. If a player is here and you're not shooting at them, they can perfectly just move the whatever they want. Oh, I'll just move a bit over here to the left, to the right. They can actually just shoot at you with complete freedom. Imagine if you're doing the same thing, but you're firing nails at this direction. Firstly, they have to try to anticipate the nails and try to dodge them, and it's much harder for them to try to hit the rails when there's stuff flying at them. And so now you can really combo this with a lot of things. So let's say if we're at distance, you can kind of do like a rocket to rail combo, or you can use like tri-bolts to rail, or nailgun to rail. Another thing here too, if a player is coming through teleporter, you can just hold the LG. Hold the LG so they can instantly hit, and then once they're through, already change to another weapon to be able to impede their movement. Okay, that's the main idea about that, and we'll rehash on that in just a second. The next thing that I want to talk about is like pressure with regards to the items. The quicker you are on the map, there's a deficit to being quick on the map. When you're quick on the map, you reveal your position, and it's easier for your opponent to make decisions based on where you are. But, however, the more things you take away, the easier it is for you to make decisions about where your opponent is going. So it kind of works both ways, and you have to just be clear about what you're gaining and what you're losing when you do that. So again, when you're moving quite quickly on the map, it's easier for your opponent to anticipate what you're going to do because they can hear you coming. You're basically being quite loud. But in saying that, the more like to look at it is like a chessboard. The more things you take away from the chessboard, the easier it is to understand what are the options that my opponent has. And this, in a strange way, actually adds pressure because it means that your opponent can only be in a certain amount of positions. Some positions will be better than others. For example, if you take away everything on the map and you know that they need to be, let's say, trying to collect the light armor, you can go to the light armors and you can apply pressure there. But then if they're not in those positions and they're just let's say they're hiding in a really random spot, let's say they're just hiding here at Mega, well, they've already added pressure anyway. Because instead of them being here, they're now waiting at Mega in a really awkward position. And that, in essence, again, we're also adding pressure because they're taking suboptimal decisions. Over time, over a course of 10 minutes, be able to slowly accrue advantages. Being able to use the resources to the most optimal fashion, taking damage as much as we can so that we can refill to our, natural health cap, to be able to do it like this. So again, just to finalize with this video, the main two things about pressure is with regards to aiming, being constantly adding pressure to your opponent by shooting at them. It seems obvious, but it doesn't even matter what you're doing. Just throw something into the direction of your opponent where it has an impact. If I'm trying to use tri-bolt from all the way this direction, well, it's not going to do too much. But if I'm using nailgun, it can travel the whole distance. Always when you're adding pressure, ask yourself this question: is what I'm doing actually impacting my opponent's decision making? If I'm firing rockets here and my opponent's here, doesn't impact anything. In fact, it probably actually works against you because it reveals your position and just makes it harder. So you want to be shooting at them or impacting their decision where it does something. Even if it's a small thing, it needs to do something. If it doesn't do anything, then I probably wouldn't recommend doing it. And the second thing again is with regards to the item. The more you can apply pressure by moving around the map, taking things off the chessboard, as I like to say, you're impacting their decisions. That's also creating pressure. And if you've made it this far, this is probably one of the more important videos, so hope you'd enjoy. And yeah, thanks again. I'll see you in the next one.